was it Nyeri? Yeah, Nyeri has done fairly well, but there are some counties with huge amounts, which then even kills your economic plan, economic thinking, because if you're not paying contractors and the small service providers, perhaps the distaste and dislike of government is as a result of incompetence and inefficiencies at the local government level. So what are your thoughts on this? Because we really would wish to stop the flow of funds to some counties, but the Constitution gives you that original jurisdiction. CS.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, first I will agree with you that a lot of happenings in the counties need serious attention and need to be punished, and at times a reprimand is required, because some of them is just kind of misbehavior, if I may, for lack of better words, on the part of county governments, where you find they even requisition to pay X and end up using the same and applying it and paying Y, and for reasons you don't understand, and keeping some of the pending bills longer than necessary. Although, again, there's a caveat that even national government, MDAs, also chair, I know you engage a lot with counties, but even the national government, and I've sat and chaired Public Accounts Committee, you find new bills or new debts paid and old ones are skipped. And that is why we have some debts dating to 2005 called pending bills dating to 2005, and now we are paying them, we are looking for money to pay them, yet there are some services that were offered last year and they have been paid, and others are like that. So this needs to be dealt with, and I agree with you that Article 225 gives my office powers to deal with some of these errant officers and counties. But again, my understanding of this article, Chair, is that you must exercise it as a last resort, and cautiously so. Why? Because when you stop transfers to counties, in a sense, you are not just even punishing the county government or the governor, but the whole county will suffer. There will be no services. And there are even staff in that county who, for some reason, have found themselves as employees of that county. And it is a lot of times not their mistakes. When you stop the funding, they will not get their salaries. And they also have the children, they have people who depend on them. So it is, I would say, a power that comes with the responsibility. You have to really be cautious. I know Senator Dullo submitted this request and it was transacted in my ministry. I know I signed off declining to stop transfers to Isiolo County. I think I'm correct. But my thinking is we should exploit and exhaust all the avenues to deal with some of these misapplication, mismanagement of public resources. And that is why we are coming up with systems that would deter some, like the issue of paying, requisitioning and paying different providers, avoiding and all that is being dealt with. The system and I think we are implementing it this month. It may be very difficult now for counties. You see, the work, my primary responsibility as Cabinet Secretary is to come up with systems that would help stop some of this mismanagement of public funds. The other organs will deal with violation, starting with the Auditor General, starting with control of budget. There is the Auditor General. We have ESCC, and I'm happy ESCC is in the room. We have DCI. All these officers are also put in by law to deal with the failure to comply. But it is my duty to prescribe systems that would help deter. And that is what I'm doing. So to get to the specific question, yes, I can apply this article. But I am also trying to be very cautious, because otherwise unintended consequences may be realized out of a very noble action.
Senator Dullo?
You wanted to say?
Yeah.
Thank you, CS. Of course, my county has been facing a lot of challenges apart from what you have mentioned. My request then was during the impeachment process. And I hope you understand the way counties deviate a budget allocated to them, even salary and development, for other purposes that they are not intended for. And nobody actually takes action against those counties. As you've said, sometimes we end up punishing members of public by doing that. But the challenge is, how do we stop these issues? For example, you have mentioned about voiding. You've seen some contracts that are done yesterday are paid. And there are some that have been there over 10 years ago are left pending, which is also accruing interest. For example, I have an issue with the budget currently happening in Isiolo County for this financial year, where members of public and the assembly have gone to court. 2 people sit, a clerk and a speaker who is actually even being challenged. We have apparently 2 speakers. Yeah? One who has imposed himself on the assembly through crook methods, that up to now DCI is actually giving a position. A clerk and a speaker sit in a chamber where members are not even there. They sign a budget, approving the budget, without going to public participation, without committee being there, and force the deputy speaker to sign that particular budget. It goes to, government printer, appropriation bill is actually approved. How can you deal with that kind of a county? It's challenging. Because even if you are supposed to be cautious, this is a serious fraud, serious corruption that is happening within that particular institution. And that is why Senate is actually frustrated. We say something must be done, in as much as we don't actually punish the communities living within those counties. We must do something. But I think the way things are, even with the allocation of budget where counties don't have challenges, there is a serious problem as far as budgeting is concerned. Money changing hands left, right, and center. HR procedures not being followed. The law is the same. You see, money not utilized in a proper manner. It's quite challenging. But I think maybe you need to open up that particular provision to see how you can be able to stretch and deal with the current happenings within our counties. But even if you said no, I think members of public have gone to court and they have stopped that particular budget. Because we must deal with those crooks who sit and do those kind of things. I thank you.
You want to type your question to that? Or you want the CS to respond? CS?
Yeah, Chair, in response, I want to just say 2 things. One, I agree that I think this article was not just provided for in the Constitution in vain. It must have a meaning. And it's something that I must engage my mind to in applying so that we protect public funds, because this is taxpayers' money at stake. But I also want to agree with you, Chair. There are 2 ways of killing devolution. 2 ways through which we can kill devolution. One is allowing the governance challenges that we see in counties to continue, because they are serious and they are dire. Counties must be called back to order a lot of times, because a lot of things that they are doing cannot be accepted, like what Senator Dullo is talking about. Why is it that politics is everywhere, even at the national government level? Why is it that we can have a speaker of the National Assembly go through the term without much problems, Senate the same? And counties is turmoil all over, across the country. Our county, where both of you and I come from, last term, last parliament, it was a mess. You'd not even understand, differentiate the county assembly from a theater of fights. It was always fights, people getting injured, MCS, and those things are happening, partly engineered by county executives. And so it is such a mess. And as you put it, sometimes you don't even know who is the speaker. The other thing that I want to mention also, which tied to the first reason why counties would fail and will kill devolution, is where we allow the governance system that we have today to persist and continue with the things that they do, including financial management. And I say, as you call for more resources, we should call for more accountability. And besides that, and beyond that, is also the question of even employment. Our counties' employment bureaus. And I'm even thinking maybe there should be a suggestion that most of these offices, chairman, should be tied to 5 years term of a governor. Because you find a governor employs ward administrators, sub-county administrators, and village administrators. When a new governor comes in, removes all those people, put them in some directorate, doing nothing, earning salary, which they were earning when they were sub-county and ward administrators, and employs new ones. And employs director of Sijui Ward, director of Border, director of Fisheries, director of what, and you even ask yourself what is the value that these people add. And so what happens is we are denied services as people who come from these counties. So that is one way that we must deal with. And where need be, we can apply Article 225. I guarantee that. Finally, the other way of killing devolution is if we recklessly allow the national government to step in and interfere with the counties. And it can happen. And it has happened previously. We had a devolved system of government, chairman, and it was killed. So the national government must exercise caution. And you and I and the Senator Sifuna here, we come from a political party which has prided itself as defenders and protectors of devolution. It would be wrong for me to sit at the National Treasury and be accused of working towards killing devolution and killing county government. And that is why I have to exercise caution in applying this article, so that I don't show the thirst of just, okay, one county, there are challenges, there are reports of misappropriation, no more funding. And you know, it is very easy for me because it gives me space and breathing space. Because when I don't transfer money to county, to Homa Bay, for example, that I'm not required now because of the constrained exchequer availability, I would be very glad not to transfer. But
remember, yes,
who is benefiting?
It's